take claim.
What is up, you guys? If you're watching this video, you're either a subscriber to my channel, which I appreciate, or your car has really shitty shift linkage. Today I'm going to be rebuilding the shift linkage on my E30 project I have going on over here. Let me just pull off this cover and I'll show you what's going on. Ton of slop. It's leaning towards the driver's side. You can pull up and down on it. This one is like really bad, and that just means that your parts are getting worn on your shift linkage. So today what we're going to be doing is taking this all apart and actually rebuilding the shift linkage. While you're this far apart, it might be a good idea to re-seal the shift shaft seal. It's a very common leak on these transmissions. Anyways, I'm going to get the back end jacked up because you do have to put it on 4 jack stands, and we'll continue from there. All right, so she's on jack stands. Oh yeah, and for the subscribers kind of wondering on the E30 project I got going on, I got all the carbon taken off on the piston tops. I cleaned the block threads out. So basically right now I'm just waiting on the machine shop to finish up the head for me. And I got all the goodies and stuff in here. Anyways though, about rebuilding your shift linkage. So here are the parts you're gonna need. You're gonna need this little jammy, which holds the actual shifter into the shifter arm assembly. You're gonna need this little bushing, which mounts the shifter arm to the transmission. And then you have these two choices. You could either buy an OEM shifter arm carrier, or you can go ahead and upgrade, which is what I am going to do, to a polyurethane one, or whatever the hell this is made out of. And you can see the difference between the two right here. Pretty similar. The only difference is instead of having a rubber bushing, which is kind of flimsy, you have a nice solid polyurethane one. I just take it all off one piece because you don't want to strip out these bolts or anything like that, especially since these ones look like rusty as hell. You're probably going to be snapping a bolt if you separate it here. So I left them together, and yeah. Alright guys, so we got the heat shield off for the most part. There's a 10mm in the back. I got to find my 10mm socket. At this point we're exposed to the actual drive shaft, and you don't have to remove the drive shaft completely. 5 bolts, the 3 up here and the 2 right here. You can leave the drive shaft connected in the back. Literally let it hang like this exhaust heat shield is hanging, and we're just gonna tuck it off to the side, and we'll get a better view of what's going on with the shift linkage. This is hands down the worst guibo I've ever seen. The reason why I stopped here is these bolts are actually a little bit tricky to remove if you don't have the right tools. So if you have an air impact gun or electric impact gun, you just pull the trigger and break the bolts loose. You'll be done in literally 30 seconds, so the bolts will be loose. But if you don't have any fancy equipment like that, what you're gonna have to do is go into the car and put it in gear and put the e-brake up. And the reason for this is if the e-brake's not up, this will actually spin, and I'll show you that in a second. You're gonna put your ratchet on, and you're gonna go spin it. All right, I'm gonna break this bolt loose. What? But the drive shaft turned. How am I gonna break that bolt loose, man? The drive shaft moves. That's where you're gonna stop and think for a moment. Oh, what did Project BMW say to do again? That's right, he said put the e-brake up and put the car in gear. And would you look at that, with the e-brake up and with the car in gear, I can easily loosen this bolt. But I don't have time for that, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring out this bad jammy right here, the Milwaukee impact gun, and finish this up in like 30 seconds. All right guys, all jokes aside, impact gun definitely helps, but if you don't work on cars every day, there's nothing wrong with putting the e-brake up and putting the car in gear. I did it like that for years until I finally invested in one of these. So this is where things are going to start to get kind of tricky. There's this thing that they call the bitch clip. Basically what you're gonna have to do is get your screwdriver underneath the clip like this. You're gonna lift up on the screwdriver to release the clip and then pull the clip out. So it's very hard to do this. That's why people gave it the nickname bitch clip, because it's a bitch to remove if you don't know how to. Let me get this clip off and get an outside view of what it looks like. All right guys, so I was finally able to get this jammy loose here. Basically lift up on this clip. I can remove the screwdriver since it's the clip is loose. I'm just gonna pull this clip out just like so. Here is the bitch clip right here. So basically what we did is we went with the screwdriver through right here, we lifted up on it, and with it lifted up, I just pulled it out of the bushing. So all right guys, so here's the shift assembly right here that we just removed. I ordered this polyurethane one, so I'm going to be removing this and installing the polyurethane one. Just literally just pulls off like that. You could just push on the new one, but I'll save this for later. Right now what we're going to be focusing on is replacing this white clip thingy, and this is what actually holds the actual shifter in place, and this is what usually wears out the most. And as you can see, it actually is broken on mine, and you can easily pull it out just like this. Shouldn't do that. It should be actually right in place firmly. On mine, it's so worn that I'm able to pull it out. To remove this is pretty simple. Just gonna get one of these bad boys. I'm gonna push right here with a flathead screwdriver, and that's already out on that side. Now we're gonna go on this side right here. And just like that, as you guys saw, you can pull this thing out. This thing's gonna be a little bit harder. You're gonna have to use a razor blade. With the razor blade, all you're gonna do is basically cut off the bushing, literally. So you're gonna get pretty close to it on the side with the razor blade, snip her on off. So all right guys, so I cut off the half of it right here. It's just the rubber portion, and with that cut off, you can literally just push this through the opposite side just like that. Very easy. You just cut off the rubber portion, not the metal, because there's a metal bushing insert in the center. So you just cut that off, pushes out really easily. The new one is right here, and installing the new one is very different scenario because it is kind of complicated. And this is where if you bought the Delrin bushings that come two-piece, it's very easy. You just push, you know, one half here and the other half right there. If you're using the stock one, what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to push this in right here, go into a vise, and tighten the vise very slowly with this lubed up, probably with like silicone or something. I normally use this stuff where you could lube the bushing and it's nice and neat, but if you don't have that, a can of silicone should work just fine. But before we do that, this thing is so freaking dirty, there's no way I'm installing it in the car like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a little cleaning. All right guys, everything is now clean. First of all, you're gonna have to lubricate this pivoting pin. I'm just gonna use some of this stuff. If you don't have this, you can also get by with some gray anti-seize. You just have to put it on the ball. I have this stuff though, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. What you're gonna do is you're gonna put a little bit on the ball, just like so, and kind of, you know, work her on in there. Give her a nice little massage like this. Wipe off the excess that you don't need. Now when you're at this point, this is the most important part. You're gonna go ahead and get your jammy right here, and you're gonna stick her on in, and you have to stick it in first, just like that, till it clicks. And once you get to this point, you can go ahead and install it into the carrier. These tabs right here, which stick out way further than the rest of them, are going to go into these slots on the shifter carrier. So let me go ahead and push that in like this, and you're just going to give it some force, just like that, guys. Clicked in. You can see the tab is all the way in place right here. She's not coming out, and look at that. I'm giving her a nice pull, and she's in there good. All right guys, and just like that, I got all the new shift linkage installed. So let me bring you into the car and I'll show you how things are doing up there. So I still haven't fully assembled everything, like the switches and stuff like that, but as you can see, shifter bounces back to the normal position like it should, goes into all gears perfectly fine again now. Yeah, that's how you rebuild an E30 shifter, or I guess this applies to a lot of other cars. E46, E36, they all stayed the same for a really long time. Anyways guys, I think I'm gonna end the video here. I know it was kind of a more boring video, more DIY style, but anyways guys, thanks for watching. Till next time.